Welcome. We are at the water's edge, and how we are starting today is repairing. We are repairing one of our vessels that we need to get to our spot. So this is the launch. It's a very non-developed launch. We have a whole gang with us. So we've got Wachong, we got Nick, and we're also waiting for Nate. Nate's, he was working overnight, so he's a little late, but it makes sense. So anyway, all four of us got kayaks, and we're gonna paddle up this small little creek out into this lake, and there's an island, and we're gonna go and spend the night there. Hopefully we smack some fish along the way, but really, we're just out here to have a good time. So I've got my kayak. This is my 10-foot Ascend kayak, so it's not an expensive kayak at all. Christian, if you're watching this, thank you for the kayak. I have my kayak loaded to the brim. This is how much room I have for myself. I got my Yeti Panga 100 liter, jam-packed with food, clothes, all sorts of goodies. I've got my net here, my fishing rod. I've got my Yeti Go Box 30 with all or more necessities. I've got my Yeti Hopper 20. That's my ice chest, so I've got ice and drinks in there. And then I've got a Target bag with all sorts of random stuff and then extra water bottles. So my kayak obviously is a hard kayak. Nick's is a hard kayak. Wachong has an awesome inflatable kayak. And there's a hole. Nick is doing his magic to try and repair this kayak, but I don't know what he's doing.
So I'm gonna, before I put the actual patch on, I'm gonna put a piece of tape on to kind of reinforce the hole.
Okay.
And then once I put the piece of tape on, I'm gonna take the patch, grab the glue that's right beside you, right here. And then I'm gonna put the glue on basically this little patch and then put this patch over that, and then we're gonna hold that in place.
So we got electrical tape, and then we got a piece of literal bicycle tire.
Yep.
And then we got good glue. Worst case scenario, we'll just tow them onto your kayak and you can just paddle them.
Oh yeah. You could just sit in the back of my kayak, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like,
my kayak's huge.
Yeah, your kayak's big, so you can handle them and I can manage the rest. We're not even worried. We're out here because we improvise. Look at Nick's setup. This is his Civic with a 13-foot kayak. The kayak is longer than his car.
Yep.
And I'm over here like my truck can't do it with a 10-foot kayak. I'm complaining apparently. This is his tried and true, and he's got his stuff everywhere in here. Honestly, you have more room in your Civic than I do in my back cab. With this setup, you fit more stuff than I do with my setup.
For real?
Because when I put my kayak in the bed, there's nothing but the kayak in the bed, and so I have to jam everything in the cab.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't even put as much stuff as this.
For sure.
So honestly, you have the more ideal kayak outdoor rigging setup.
Mm-hmm.
Just like this?
Yeah, just like that.
Okay. Look who rolled up. Just in time.
Yeah.
We're about to get burnt.
I know, I didn't even bring sunscreen.
So, he's got sunscreen. I've got yours in the kayak.
Dude.
This is Nick. This is Nate. You guys know Nate.
Oh, nice to finally meet you.
Yeah. This is Nick. This is Wachong.
Wachong, nice to meet you. Nate.
Nice to meet you.
Woo! Yeah, it's not very common that you go up this way.
Huh?
Normally you go downstream, but we're going upstream. All right, here we go. Let the adventure begin. So my kayak is really front heavy because I've got a lot of weight out there, so it's really hard to turn my kayak. Your kayak's a lot easier to turn when you have more weight at the back. But as long as I'm not sinking, because I think this kayak has a weight capacity of 300 pounds, which I think I'm pretty close to 300 pounds on the kayak right now. But this is awesome. Got good friends. Hopefully the fishing is good. Ugh. Man, this sun makes you dehydrated. We came back from over here and the canyon walls were real close, but as you get to this lake, the canyon walls start to widen up. that all looks good for bass fishing, rocky bottoms like that. It's always a good place to target smallmouth. But the lake still goes and wraps around that bend, and there's a big island that we're trying to get to. That's why we have all our camping stuff in right there. And yes, just in case somebody's gonna point it out, I am paddling with my oars upside down. And I do that because when I paddle it correctly, the water just drips down this and gets into my boat or my kayak, and it gets my pants all wet. But if I paddle upside down, the water can't drip into my kayak, which is why I'm paddling my oars upside down. And it's just as efficient. There's Nick on his kayak, he's fishing. And we have arrived. That is the island, canyon walls, and the lake actually goes behind that bend. But that's the island that we're gonna go camp. Wachong and Nate are first. They're gonna go find a spot so we can drop off all of this. Then after that, sit back, go find some fish, have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like right there on that saddle. Right where Nate's going.
That's something up by Nate's where I caught a bass.
Oh, really?
Yep.
It's a deep pool right here. Water's super clear.
Perfect camp spot right here.
Beautiful. Ooh. Oh, the water is so clear. Okay, try to turn, push my kayak. Yeah, it is. I'm definitely gonna try not to soak my boots. Woo! Oh, you forget how to stand. Whoa. There we go. Just like that. On the island. Kayaks are in. We're gonna go set up our camp right up here. I think Nate went to go look. There's a bass right here, Nick. You were right, you're stumped. What are you doing?
Kind of just reading the situation.
Oh, there's a big old pit right here. We're gonna camp right here.
Okay.
Pack. Oh. Woo. Yeti pangas are just so dope.
It's a sticking pad. I don't know if you have one or not, but I'm like, where's my
We are in a bunch of weeds, and this time of the year, allergies. So, find myself some Claritin D. I can feel my allergies just start kicking, and if I don't take this, it's gonna kick in really bad, and I'm just gonna have a miserable time. So I'm gonna pop one of these little guys. Wow, I didn't swallow it. Ah, now it's gone. Just in case we run out of water, because we did not bring a lot of water, but because we are surrounded by water, because we're on an island, I brought my little water filter. This is the Sawyer squeeze system. Fill water into this little pouch, screw this part on, squeeze the water, and then clean water comes pouring out. So always have this whenever you go out in the summer, because it gets hot. Dehydration is often very overlooked, as ironic as it sounds, but dehydration, far too many people put their lives at risk because they just don't think of dehydration. We are not going to set the shelter up with the cover. So this is the inner piece, the mesh netting, but because it's so hot and I don't think it's gonna rain, I think we can get away overnight without having to throw on the actual tarp. If it rains, then it rains. Man, I'm like forgetting everything. I went to the store, I bought some plastics and some wacky rig hooks. I got my worms. I don't know where I put the hooks. But this right here is pig intestine stuffed with rice. My mom gave me some before I came out here. That's what it looks like. It's just a good little snack.
Here you go, Nate. This is your pull for the trip.
Oh, sweet. Thanks, dude.
Yeah. Take care of that
This
one.
is also yours.
What are you eating?
This is pig intestine stuffed with rice.
Serious?
Yeah, it's literal pig intestine. Try it. My mom gave me, she was making it for their road trip down to Oregon because they're leaving tomorrow. It doesn't really taste like anything.
It's like a rice sausage.
It's what it is. But you stuff it in pig intestine.
Oh, dude, you know what that would be great with?
I mean, my breakfast sausages are in sheep intestine.
Yeah.
My sausages are in pig intestine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A lot of times I hand it to people, are like, what in the world? I'm like, sausages are the same thing. It's just that this is stuffed with rice instead of meat.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be great in soy sauce, which I did bring.
It would be
Oh, I
good.
got some extra ones. This is just a little snack. Shade is here. Take my kayak out. So this is a EWG hook, stands for extra wide gap hook. I got some yum dingers, got watermelon, and I've got blue with flakes. It's been so long since I've thrown a wacky rig. Fold the worm in half, poke it right through the middle, just like that. That's it. Now, just gotta go find some structure, and hopefully the bass are there. First thing when I target bass, which it's been a really long time since I've targeted largemouth specifically. So what I'm doing here is I'm just looking for any structure that's popping out. So we just have a big wall of rocks, but there's a big stump right there. And a lot of times bass will be hugging those stumps because they like some kind of cover. So we're just gonna go right up to it. It's a super calm day as well. So he's got his reel pretty loose. Okay. Right next to it. And because it's weightless, many times you won't even feel it. You'll just see your line start moving because the fish is taking the worm with it. And then you just go and set the hook. So Nick has a left-handed bait casting reel. I'm used to right-handed, so this is a little awkward for me. I reel spinning reels with my left hand. For casting, I reel with my right hand. I'm weird like that. I don't know why. It just feels more natural, more comfortable like that. Oh, I got a fish. The drag is so loose. Oh, look at that beast. First fish of the trip. Look at that beast. Giant. He bit a worm bigger than him. So it's all rocky right here, but right in this cove, there's a patch of grass. That's not far enough. But really all I'm looking for is something different. Something different than just a big wall of rocks. Let's try to cast right up against the shore. There just doesn't seem to be too much activity along the rocks. Yeah, I've got some hits, but these are tiny fish. We're looking for those 2+ pounders, the fun ones. Oops. Ooh. Got one. A little bass. One thing's for sure. These little guys are everywhere. Okay, that is why you hold them on the lip, so they can't do it. So I switched over to my crappie jig because it just looks very like crappie heaven right here. Look, there's a tree, some brush. So I switched over to the crappie jig, caught a little bass. I think bass right now are on beds. And so the big ones are pretty tight-lipped, or at least they can be pretty tight-lipped. Some crappie stacked along this. Ooh. Almost ate my own jig. I don't know if that was a bass or what. I think it might just be a bunch of little bass. Okay. It's definitely little bass heaven right here. Okay. I think it's a bunch of little bass. I'm just trying to find crappie at this point. I'm being very quiet because it's dead calm right here. So I'm trying to be as sneaky as I can. Oh, that's a nice fish. Ooh, that's a nice fish. He's dragging my kayak. We're gonna need a net for this one. Oh, he's dragging my kayak. He's only like a pound, but I'm fighting him on 4-pound test. Oh. Oh. There we go. Oh, yeah. On the crappie jig. So there's a bunch of bass here. There we go. First nice fish of the trip for me. Like a 1-pound bass. Beautiful. So I'm still just trying to figure out like what's going on here and how we can dial in some fish, you know. So I'm being very quiet because it's super still right now. I'm gonna take a quick photo of this guy and I'm gonna release him. All right. Okay, one last look. This beautiful fish. Let him go. Ugh. Okay, I did a nice release and he said no. I'm gonna go back to that tree right there. They're not hitting the they're not hitting the wacky rig, but they're hitting the crappie jig, which makes total sense because not everything wants a full-blown meal. Sometimes they just want a little appetizer. So this right here is my crappie tackle box. Everything in here is pretty much proven. I got Strike King, I've got Notorious Custom Jigs, I've got Barbie Garland, Little Hustlers, all sorts of different soft plastics. And then I've got my hooks here and I've got some bobbers. And I've been using the Strike King or the Bobby Garland. They basically make the same exact lure. Okay, the Strike King and the Bobby Garland, this one right here, it's basically the same exact lure. However, right now, I'm feeling a little bit more Notorious Custom Jig. So we're gonna use a twin tail and just gonna throw it on here. I'm just feeling the color. It's more of a shad color. And then Notorious Custom Jigs, the plastic they use is a little bit more durable than Strike King and Bobby Garland. Jerry's the owner of Notorious Custom Jigs, and I really do like his jigs. I've caught plenty of crappie with them. I just have a mixture of all sorts of different proven baits for me in here. So right now we have a Notorious Custom Jig. Let's see what damage this thing's gonna do. Just another little guy. This is a fat largemouth. Okay. He's definitely one of the more respectable fish. That thing's got a belly on it. Slightly bigger, but still a dink. So the one thing I have learned, or at least I've been observing, is there's bass almost everywhere. But as soon as I come across a bush or a branch that's on land and it's submerged underwater, I'm throwing into those branches underwater and I am getting hammered like almost instantly. Granted, they're all a bunch of tiny bass except for the one I caught earlier. But there's fish stacked here. And I just don't understand why I have not been able to get on a crappie bite, because this looks just like crappie habitat. Maybe these bass are just overpopulated and it's just pushing these crappie into these smaller pockets, or maybe the crappie are out deeper. I don't know. I don't have a fish finder, so we're fishing blind here. So a lot of this stuff is just trying to observe as I go. When you have a fish finder, everything's easy because you can just look underwater at your fish finder, but I don't have it. I'm fishing old school. So we are fishing and observing at the same time. I've never been here, so I'm starting from square one. I'm fishing everything that looks fishy. That's a decent fish. It's got to be a bass. He was hugging that log. Oh, you're gonna jump? It looked like he wanted to jump. Oh, what is that? Hey, he's pulling me right up. He's not even that big. These are nicer. Oh. Okay, I need to get out of here. This little bass pulled me all the way into the brush. Don't tell me you're stuck. Okay. What in the world? He broke himself loose. Come here. Ugh. Buddy, do you want to go in the frying pan? Woo! All right. So just as I predicted, these fish are hugging these laydowns. That's another nicer fish, you know? Beautiful, healthy looking fish. He was hugging this big old log right here, but he pulled me into the mecca, so I hope I didn't scare anything. But since I'm here, I'm gonna quietly release him, let him go quietly, and now we're gonna go major stealth mode. Since we're already here, we're gonna fish as if we're on the bank. Oh, shoot. All right. We ain't stealthy no more. Come on. Oh, come on. Okay. All right. With that, now let's get back out there. Kind of ruined our stealthy plan. Howdy.
Howdy.
What's up?
I thought I was gonna die trying to catch up to you. Let's go.
There are so many little bass.
Really?
I have been slaying it on this crappie jig to the point where I've been trying to like not set the hook on them so they wouldn't get hooked.
Funny.
How'd you guys do?
Oh, caught a pretty solid bass.
Did you?
No, with Young.
Oh, really? I caught like 2 1-pounders.
Caught like maybe a 4-pounder.
You?
No, he did.
Oh, he did? That's solid. I saw some nice bass.
I caught like a 2.5-pounder. I saw one that swam under me that was like.
Yeah, I swam over 2. I just saw the tail. I'm like, oh my goodness. I don't know where they were. Where are those 2 guys at? Still where we are? Is that them?
What?
Is that one of them right there?
Yeah, I think that's Nick.
Oh. Nick was like, should we go to the end of the lake? And he was like, well, I said that. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go check it out. I've been trying to find a crappie and I can't find a crappie. Oh, I have a fish on. But I've been catching these guys like left and right. If you want to switch to a little jig.
Yeah, I would love to.
Because the wacky rig's been okay, but...
I beached the boat and went hiking for a little while.
Oh, did you?
I haven't been fishing.
It's good to be back.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody has to eat one. These are the best. Nick's just in time. The best snack ever. That thing looks so amazing. Look at the spirals on it.
So good.
So
Pumped
good.
out in the millions at a factory.
Mm. So Nick is cooking fried rice and I'm over here doing little steak cubes with Montreal steak seasoning, fried rice with steak, and then we also have some salad. That's gonna be dinner. This is the mule deer from deer camp, second weekend. He said medium rare, so these are perfect. All right, there you go.
There you go, Joe. Oh, enjoy that.
Oh yeah. Nick, for your first time ever doing fried rice, I'm actually really proud. That's dinner. Nick's fried rice and mule deer steak bites. How is it?
So good.
Is it? Happy to hear that. Dang, Nick.
Yeah?
Next time we go camping, you're a dedicated fried rice man. That is actually killer.
Yeah, unbelievable.
The shallots, the cabbage, texture is good, seasoning is good. Ooh. You know, the best kind of ice is slush ice.
bass are on beds right now, and there's a lot of beds all along this flat where we landed our kayaks. So I'm gonna try and see if I can catch a bass. Break the skunk off. I can see them right there. They're chasing each other. And this isn't good. I was trolling with my rooster tail yesterday, and now my line's all super squiggly. There's a bunch of bass right there. I see them. I don't know if these are bluegill or bass. I think they're bass. I have a follower. I think I'm good on sriracha for breakfast. Look at you go, Nick.
Thank you.
Best part about this kayak chair is I can take it out easily. So it's also a camp chair, so I don't have to bring an extra chair. Because this just pops right in like that. Hopefully the rocks are not slick. Okay. Push us out. Back on the water. It's late morning. It's like 10:30, maybe 11 o'clock in the morning. Sun's high. And Nate actually left because he only had a couple hours to spend because he works tonight. So he left. So it's just me, Nick, and Wachong. And we're going to go out, and we're still on a crappie mission. So hopefully paddle even farther than where we were yesterday and try to find a crappie. You know where there's bass, but I'm looking for a crappie. I don't know, it just looks good. This water is clear. There's some algae growing in it, but for the most part, it's really clear. I mean, you can see fish down there if there's fish, but I don't think there's any fish. We're gonna tie ourselves to this big old log. Just like this. There's 2 logs right here. And so the wind's blowing, so I'm trying not to move because I don't have an anchor. So I've hooked myself to this log so I won't move. And now I'm just gonna vertical jig because there's all these different branches that are sticking out. And I'm just gonna see if there are some fish hanging out down below me. I broke off on the wacky rig, so all I have is crappie jig. But typically, when you have cover like this, there's fish. Usually, not always. Usually. It seems like it's pretty deep right here. Okay, we're on bottom now, and we're just gonna jig our way up. This is pretty dope. You know, we got our lead kayak tied to our second paddle, I'm just holding on to that kayak. And then got the inflatable at the end. This is the kayak train. What is that yellow thing?
I would let Preston go first so that he can pull his kayak up on the grass.
Yeah, but I'm trying to see what this is. Why does somebody... Oh, somebody's throwing a crayfish trap. They don't have their information on here. That's somebody's crayfish trap. FYI, if you have crayfish traps, you need to put, like legally required, you need to put your name, your address, and like some other information on your buoy. That's legally required. There's no, nothing on that buoy. There we go. Fishing was pretty subpar. I don't think fishing was anything to brag about. Caught some fish, nothing big, and we didn't catch too many. It was just a tough day of fishing. And then when we decided to stop fishing, the overcast came in, and this is typically when you want to be fishing. But we're back to the island. We're gonna clean up, we're gonna eat, and then that's the wrap for our kayak island adventure.
I'm just gonna close my eyes and move my feet. And then I went.
Oh, there you go. That's gonna wrap it up for a kayak island adventure. I have been fighting allergies this whole trip, as I usually do with any spring fishing trip. But I think we managed to be okay. Now we paddle and we go home. Oh, biggin! Ooh! I can't believe you flipped that guy. We're not done just yet. Don't poke a hole.
Yo, I was wondering why my line was just going into the water. I think this might be my biggest one.
That's like a, look at that. Nice, last minute fish. Whew, there he goes.